Hey everyone, welcome back to the episode of the Elixir Foundation series. In this episode right here, I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up autocode reloading in our application and also add a bit of logging to our server so we can see what's really going on. So this is kind of like, some of the things you would want to have in a development environment, while you're developing. Probably not necessarily in production, it would be useful. Maybe the logging part might be useful in production so you can see the logs and see what's going on in your server. So let's start off by setting up autocode reloading. So there's a beautiful example over here. So yeah, let's go ahead and copy this. So we're gonna run only dev for this remix because I don't think we need code reloading on the production server. So I'm gonna copy that over here. So this is a remix library. You can check it out, it's on GitHub. So then I'm gonna go and add that to my mix.exs. So here all the way down, and I'm gonna add development and add some comments so we know what's going on. Web request, so why these libraries are there. So that should be okay. And basically now what we're gonna do is gonna close the server and do a mix deps get, and it should install remix for us. All right, so the latest version is 2. Let's do that. Let's keep it at 0.02. So we also need to kind of like add remix to our, this thing over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this part over here, and I'm going to go into the mix over here. And now I'm going to actually start to get into coding. I'm going to talk a little bit about, what it is that, what all this means. So I'm going to copy this array over here and just paste this over here. So what is this? Like, if you are coming from, a normal programming language, not saying this is not normal, but essentially what, in other programming languages, you don't have it where like you can define two functions of the same name, but then have different outputs. So in Elixir, we have this thing called arity and function signature. So it'll actually take a look at what you're passing in as an argument and then respond accordingly, which is very cool. So in here you can pass in a dev. Basically what's going to happen is mixed env is going to return us the environment that we're in. So by default everything's in dev. And then basically we're going to call the applications a private function over here. So applications is actually a call of a function, and we're passing it in mix.env. And then here you see underscore all. What that means is it doesn't really matter what we pass into here. We can pass in like that, fdfs, and it'll still return this one here. So over here, passing all like that just means it's a little bit more readable. So basically what this is it's going to get in the development environment, it's going to take this array and then it's going to add remix to the list of applications that we're going to load in our supervision tree. But in production, we don't need remix, so we're going to ignore it and we're going to load. So obviously, whatever this is in production, this will be an atom, which is a prod, which it'll look something like this. It'll be like prod. So basically, this is just gives us that flexibility where, in production, we don't want to use remix, but in development, we want to use remix. That's all this 3-line of code is. So yeah, and I also want to mention that, this, when you see a colon and something, this is considered as an atom in Elixir, and it's handy in many situations. So we'll talk a little bit about all that a little bit later. What strings are, what atoms are, what the difference is, why there are advantages, and all that stuff. So with that, this should basically set up our application in terms of we can even do something like this where we have a list like this. But for now, I'll keep it simple, and will be fine for now. So let's boot up the application and see what happens. So IEX mix. There we go. Our app's booted up just fine. So now we have autocode reloading as well. So let's try and modify our code and see what happens. So now, for example, if I change this part here to, oh no, hit save, you'll see that it automatically compiled our code, which is great. that's exactly what we want. So now if we head over into here and I hit hello, everything's working. But if I hit a path that we don't have, we get oh no. So without even actually having to reload the application. So now we have code reloading working. So what's the next thing we need to do? We still need to be able to kind of like see the output for the server, and also seeing which port we're listening on would also be handy. So let's go ahead and do that. So here I'm going to do a require logger. So logger is a basic module included in your application already. So you can do logger.info. So what we need to do now is we need to kind of like pass the port. So we want to have one place where we put the port. So we're going to do something like this, port 8080. And then here we're going to use a port. So this is a module attribute. It can be used for so many things, but just showing you guys an example right here where you want to set something which is going to be something that doesn't change. It's in this module only, and basically you want to use it multiple times. So that's what you would do. So here we can pass the port like that, and we can pass something like that. So now basically when we boot up our app, we can see that it'll show listening on port 8080. Great, that's exactly what we want, because we want to show the user who's booted up our app that, hey, well, here's the port you can send your request to, and we'll respond. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up logging on the router layer, on our router. So plug.logger. That should be it. So let me just double check. Yeah. So plug.logger, what this is going to do is it's going to kind of like make sure our server responds when it's sending a request to something. It will actually output the log as well. So here you can see now we have this log coming out showing that, oh, hey, we have a 404. We responded in whatever milliseconds. The browser tried to get the favicon by default, and we responded with a 404 because we don't know how to handle it. But if I go and do something like hello, we get world, it's returning 200, which is great. And the browser keeps asking for favicon, so it just keeps returning a 404. So that's pretty much it in terms of setting up logging. This is a members exclusive episode. So if you're watching this, thank you for becoming a member. We appreciate your support. So we also have a bunch of updates coming soon. So just letting you guys know, so you stay tuned. We also have a new chat icon at the bottom. So reach out if you have any issues. We're happy to help. So with that, I want to wrap up this episode. I think we accomplished everything we wanted to. We set up auto code reloading, and then we set up some logging to show how to actually say, hey, I'm listening on port 8080, or how do I output the web request log in a plug router. So with that, I want to wrap up this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one.